Hello everyone, it's Lori and this is the Intuitknit podcast. Welcome back to those of you who've been with me before, and for those of you checking me out for the first time, welcome. Really glad that you've come and visited me. So yeah, we're having a really hot summer, and I just thought I would squeeze in this podcast. Lots to do in the summertime as always, but part of what we're doing these days is trying to keep everything alive, because we've had such a drought. And I'm hearing the same thing across all the Northern Hemisphere. Podcasters will, be talking about the heat and trying to stay cool and anywhere you can. So I hope wherever you are that you're finding a nice cool spot to rest and hopefully knit or do something enjoyable anyway. Yeah, so this is a podcast about knitting, spinning, and sewing. Maybe a little bit about other things that I'm currently doing or have done. So I hope that you'll find something enjoyable here. So glad that you're here with me now. So yeah, I'll just jump into what I've been doing lately. Maybe I'll start with some of the finished objects that I have, which actually maybe there's only one or two. But anyway, it's trying to be productive this summer and take it as you go. So the first thing I have, and you've seen this before in progress, but this is the Verdure Shawl by Isabel of the Fluffy Fibers podcast. And I've knit this crescent-shaped applied border shawl. Is that the right side? Yeah, I think it is. And so I'm quite happy with the result. It's all blocked out, so it's got quite a large wingspan, as you can see, a beautiful feathered applied lace pattern on the border of this crescent-shaped shawl. So I'm really happy. This is knit out of deep stash that I had, and this was from the Seldridge farm, and the colorway is called Bluebell. So I'm thinking I'll get a lot of use out of this because it kind of goes with things that I would be normally wearing with jeans, and I'll have a few pins that I could use with this, in that it's just the one color, and yeah, it should look quite nice with anything that you want to wear it with. Really, it's pretty versatile. And yeah, so that was my trip into lace knitting after I'd had a bit of a difficulty concentrating, I think it was, but it all worked out. That was a 10-row repeat pattern in the border, and finally by the end of it all, I had committed it to memory, so that was good. But there's times when you first start out, at least I'm noticing in myself, that I'm having to be really vigilant about watching my rows, because inevitably I'll get one wrong and then I'll have to take it back. But it's really hard with lace to sort of take it back sometimes and not miss some of the yarn overs and things like that you've done. So I'm really happy that I managed to get through it. So what did I do? I cast on another one. As soon as I finished that one, I was into the next one. So this time I'm trying a pattern from Ravelry. It's called the June Bunny Shawl, and it's a lace shawl, but it has not too many difficult aspects to it, and you can make it either short or you can make it a longer version. And this is a pattern by Inez and Zane, and yeah, so I quite liked it. It's a triangle shawl. I should be able to master that, I'm thinking. So what did I do? I went stash diving and came up with this yarn that I had from quite a long time ago from Knit Picks. This is the Belmont colorway in their Hawthorn fingering weight yarn, and so I've got some progress on it now. I'm hoping that the variation in the color won't cause too much confusion when I'm trying to make the lace stand out, but I didn't know if the values were such that it would make too much difference or not in making those lace patterns distinct. But I thought, well, I'll just wing it anyways. I have 2 skeins of that, and I have quite a bit left, and only at the first lace rows. So I'm thinking that I might have enough even with the one skein. So I'll just sort of see how it goes. I might have to go into the next one, but I'm thinking not very much. And yeah, so lace knitting, and I'm making another shawl actually, which is kind of a more summery shawl in my mind because it's totally made out of cotton. And I showed this to you last time. It's the Shackenmeyer Fashion Tahiti yarn, and it's a gradient yarn that will change from turquoise to this minty, beautiful lime green color. And this is in the colorway 07617, so I'm quite happy with this. I'm trying something a little bit new for myself. I'm putting beads interspersed in a couple of yarn overs. I'm trying to isolate the bead pattern in a couple of yarn overs, or at least isolate the beads rather, not the bead pattern. Yeah, so it's working out pretty well, I think, and quite happy. There's quite a bit left on my ball of yarn still, and so I'm thinking this will at least make a little shawlette, and if I don't like the size as it turns out, I'll just add another one because I have another ball of this. So, but this is a nice yarn. It comes in yellows. There's a nice yellow one that changes to like an orange and a honey color, so that one also is a good choice if you're interested in that yarn. But yeah, I'm just doing this on a 4mm needle, and it's actually quite soft on the hand to knit, so it's not your usual cotton that can be, well, at least in my experience, it has been kind of rough on my hands, but this isn't too bad at all, so I'm quite happy with that. So those are the two projects that I've been knitting on. I have been knitting on my sweater and trying to make some headway on the sleeves, and so in doing that, I've have a few things that I've done to get myself there. One of them is that I've spun up this other skein of yarn, and this is a mixture of different fibers that I had collected, some of which that I had dyed myself using some natural dyes. So I'd used marigold, goldenrod, and also put some alpaca in here too that I found that was in a good colorway to match some of the rest of the sweater. So this is just a 2-ply yarn, not very neatly spun, but that's the nature of the first part of the sweater, so I thought I would continue on with making a thicker yarn and some barber poling and so on, with the occasional shot of like a turquoise that is in the current sweater. So yeah, so that's something else I've done. And then I'm not in the Tour de Fleece, but I have been making some headway on some of the spinning that had been sitting waiting for me to do. And this was some yarn, the silk yarn, or silk roving, or silk fiber that I had from when I had gone to one of our local yarn festivals. And it's Dyeing for Color is the company that puts this out, but actually I've made this single ply, and I'm going to ply it with like a raspberry color. So I'm thinking what it reminds me of is some of the sherbet colors that you can get, the raspberry orange combos that you can get in the summertime. So when I'm spinning this up, and hopefully when I'm plying it, it's going to bring happy memories of eating ice cream on these hot summer days. So yeah, there's about 4 ounces I think in total here, and when I ply it, I think I might have enough to maybe make a small cowl. So I'm hoping that will work out. Anyway, I'm enjoying that. And speaking of fiber and that sort of thing, what I have found myself doing is doing a lot more dyeing lately, just because of the heat and so many wildflowers that are drought resistant growing by the roadsides. I've been out sort of scavenging with for things that I could dye with. And of course this summer I'm going to be going on a dyeing retreat in Knoxville, Maryland. So I'm quite looking forward to that. So I'm trying to develop ideas, the things that I'd like to do when I'm on that retreat. And happily, I'm going to be visiting with Emily of the Fibertown podcast. She's kindly cleared some of her schedule that my friend and I can come and visit with her. So I'm really looking forward to that. She promises me that I'll be able to see her stash, which I'm sure that'll be so exciting and fun to do. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But what I had collected by the roadside the other day was Queen Anne's lace, because of course it just grows everywhere. It's such a pretty weed too, you know. It's a shame that it's classified as a weed in some ways. It's a wild carrot, really. And, you know, I had been appreciating that fact when I had dyed it, because actually the house smelled of carrots when I was dyeing it up. But you can get quite a variation of color with that Queen Anne's lace. Sometimes it's a golden color, sometimes even more of an orange color. Funny enough, you wouldn't think so, because the flower itself is white, isn't it? But I wanted to show you some of the stock that I had gotten the last time. This is a deep orange color. I don't think it's really coming through on the camera, but maybe you can see as the light comes through it a little bit. But when I immerse the yarn or fiber in that, it's going to be coming out to be an orange color. Now, I don't know whether that's because I had left it for a little while too, like I had picked it and then I didn't get to it right away, so it was in a plastic bag, and maybe that's why it's turned an orange color. I did previously have a collection of different dye stocks that I had saved from a workshop that I'd attended at my guild meeting a few months ago. And I wanted to show you some of these. Sorry for the reaching. And maybe this won't impress you all that much if you're prone to or have a tendency to like vibrant colors, but I think these were kind of mystery stock baths that I'd had. I didn't really know exactly what plants, because I didn't label the jars to know what some of these were, but I wanted to just show you the beautiful grays that, I don't know if it's going to come up on here, but when I saw this gray, the way it turned out, it just seemed so beautiful to me, because there's so many variations that you might not get from, say, a gray fleece that you'd bought. So that's just from the dye stock that I'd had, and I think that was like an elderberry dye stock. And then I had used, well, this one is another one, but it's turned out actually kind of a purple color. And so I think when I spin this up, if I apply them together, I'm going to get a lovely variation in the grays that I end up with. They're going to have mauve overtones as well as more of a blue overtone. So I think, they'll be just different enough that it'll be very interesting to see what kind of yarn I end up with after I got some of these natural dyes. The other one that I did was, I'm pretty certain this must have been from walnut, and it turned out actually, because I don't think the dye bath was all that strong, so it turned out to be kind of a rosy, oh, I know, I think maybe too, actually no, this was madder that I'd saved, so it does have a rosy kind of tone to it, but yeah. I'm also interested in trying the avocado dyeing too, because it turns into a rosy, a nice warm brown color. I was going to share with you some of the books that I have on that, and in case you want to add to your library of books that will help to inform you about what colors you can get from the different natural dyes. This one is called The Craft of the Dyer, and it's from plants and lichens. She refers to some of the plants and lichens that you could find. It's Karen Lee Castleman, And so she's got a lot of the recipes and some of the lichens that you can collect, or perhaps you can collect if you live in the area that she's describing. But yeah, so there's a lot of information in that one. And this one was actually an old one. I think I had gotten this. You know how libraries will sometimes purge their collections, and they will you know, put out books for sale. I think I got this one in that kind of a thing. And this one is actually from 1969, and it was published by the Southern Ontario Unit of Herb Society of America. The Southern Ontario Unit of the Herb Society of America. That sounds very officious, doesn't it? But it's from 1969, and they're talking about vegetable dyes. So yeah, it's just a cute little book, and so I added that to my collection. But they've got all the different types of things that you could use, and alphabetically they've kind of described them here, so it gives you some of the scope of what you could collect if you were doing that. Now this one's a very well-known one, and her name is Jenny Dean, and she's put out a couple of really great books, but this one caught my eye because it was in one of the books that the book collections they were selling from the library. I couldn't believe it. I got it for maybe a couple of bucks, but it's actually quite a good book, and it gives you lots of the recipes that you can use for the different dye plants, and just the range of colors that you can get if you try some of the different mordants that will help to change the color of the final results. And here's a really old one too, Natural Dyes and Home Dyeing, and I think I got this one at a secondhand store. So it's just lovely to see, you know, how they used to get some of the colors from nature. And one thing I'd really love to try is woad, dyeing with woad. They tell me that in Canada that I should be able to grow it, but I haven't yet got any woad plants. But if you've ever seen any YouTube videos of them doing the woad dyeing, it's like a magical thing, because what they do is they put it in the dye bath, but then as they pull it out, the oxygen changes the color into a beautiful blue, and you don't really know what you're going to come up with until that magical thing happens. So I would love to participate in a dye workshop that involved woad. And then this one is a beautiful one. Visually, this one's stunning. It's Natural Dyeing by Jackie Crook. And what she does is she'll show you some of the colors that you can end up with. For example, that's nettle that you can see there. That's the color of nettle. And I just love some of the blues that you can get. This one's red cabbage. Now I have tried red cabbage before, but I didn't find that I got the results that I was aiming for. I think it all has to do with the mordant that you use, and whether it actually suits the type of dye plant that you're using, because there's a huge variation on what you can get as your final result just based on what you can mix it with. And I don't tend to use anything toxic, so I would mostly resort to things like alum or vinegar, cream of tartar, that sort of thing. And I have thrown a couple of copper pennies into the dye bath, hoping that the copper will somehow help the mordanting process too. I'm not sure if that's effective. I have read in a couple of books that it is, so I'm looking for some actual old iron nails and maybe chain or something, because that would be a good way of adding iron mordant to your dye bath. So yeah, so I've been having lots of fun with that. Now if you've seen me on Instagram, you'll see another experiment that I tried. And I've ordered a book online, and this person is well known for the lovely effects that she gets in her eco dyeing. So this is the book that I've ordered online. It's called Eco Color, and it's by India Flint is her name. But you can kind of see from the cover there some of the effects that she gets on garment dyeing using natural plants. So I tried this. I went to a thrift store and I bought a garment. I think it was a new garment when I bought it because it still had the tags on. It was from the Gap, and it was partly cotton, partly linen. And when I finished it, I realized that the reason I probably didn't have the intensity of color that I was hoping for was because of the original content of the fiber that I was dyeing on. I think you remember last time when I spoke to you, I had a book about slow stitch, I think it was called. So I've been really interested in using other methods to try to create the effects on fabric. And in this book, a lot of the materials that they had used to create different effects using stitch work as well as dyeing, and reclaiming old garments and cloth from those garments, brought me to a place where I thought, well, maybe I can go to a secondhand store and get some possible fabrics that could be dyed and won't be any loss if I experiment with them. So I got this jumper, and it's partly linen and partly cotton, 100% cotton. And what I did was I did some eco dyeing. So I gathered things like rose petals, the heads off of roses, clematis, pansies. There was a smoke bush on my property where I thought the leaves were a beautiful dark color. So I thought I'd experiment with those. I think the sky's the limit. You can do whatever you want as far as gathering plants and just seeing what will happen. Now, this is very subtle, and so you're not going to see a huge result from this, but I think up here you can see where it's kind of gone. This is actually fabric staining as opposed to dyeing. And what it does is it creates this overall effect of variation of color, which you can't really get in any other way. Now, this is the back, and most people would say, ooh, that looks kind of disgusting. But that's where it was tied with the string when I put it into a dye bath with onion skins, and then I tied it up with string. I think that maybe those lines are coming where the string was tied. But I was thinking, you know, wouldn't it be kind of neat if I use stitch work that follows those lines and brings out the patterns even more than what they are, because they're so lovely and random, very natural kind of looking lines. It's kind of painterly, isn't it? So for some of them, you might think, oh, that's a piece of garbage. But actually, in my painting life, I do realize that sometimes those canvases that you think you should ditch, you know, turn out to be your loveliest pieces. So what I'm gonna try to do is do some of that stitch work on top of this. I might even dye some embroidery thread so that it will have variation of color as well, and maybe try to enhance this to make it seem like a work of art. It's size 2, it'll never fit me. But I'm thinking maybe my daughter might be able to use it, or would she wear it? I don't know. But yeah, just thought I would show you a little bit of that. And I'm hoping when I get this Eco Color book from the Book Depository, that's where I've ordered it from, that I'll be able to create even more. I bought a few more garments that could be used. I'm told that silk would actually work better when you're trying this eco dyeing. So give it a try. You know, if you have fabric or if you have garments that either too dull now or maybe don't fit you properly and you'd like to restore them to be something else, yeah, just give it a shot. I put mine in the oven in a dye bath with the onion skins. I threw a few copper pennies in. And what else did I do? I think, oh, I maybe threw a few blueberries in too, just for that coolness of color variation. So yeah, give it a try. I've been doing a lot of sewing. I think last time I showed you some fabric that I had bought. And this is the bag that I ended up with. So this is a nice, huge size bag, because I'll often need this kind of a bag when I'm either going grocery shopping or even when I go to my guild meeting for spinning. I end up taking quite a bit of things that I've made or some roving with me, just things that I want to take. And so I've lined it with this pretty kind of like French style lining. I'm quite happy with this. This is just some upholstery fabric that I bought at Len's Mills in our town here, our city, and so I'm quite happy with that. And it gave me some ideas for Christmas. I think what I might do is, you know, there's lots of people on my list that, you know, they have everything, and what could they possibly need? It won't cost me a fortune. So I was thinking, you know, everybody goes grocery shopping. Maybe I'll make really stylish shopping bags, because people aren't using plastic as much anymore. And if I can make something reusable but functional, strong, and usable, then, you know, I'm going to be happy, and maybe they will be too. So in that vein, I bought some fabric. I hope that this is interesting to you. Some of you might just like to be knitters, but I bought some fabric that I thought I might be able to show you here. So this is actually just an upholstery type, almost like a canvas type fabric. And gosh, there was such a great sale on, this was $5, and I probably have enough here to make 2 bags. But I'm thinking, how neat is that, to make beautiful shopping bags that people can actually use? So I thought I would use that and maybe put this one as the lining inside. It's just a plain stripe, but I thought that would be very pretty. And then this one kind of leaked out at me. This is actually pure linen, and this is designer fabric. But again, there's such a big sale where I'm shopping now that this was just $7, and I've got enough here probably for several bags, shopping bags. So I thought I would do that one. And then I'm interested in making project bags for friends, and maybe as a giveaway down the road. So I thought I would buy some of the ones that they had on sale. There's a huge clearance sale, so I got this for $1.50. I thought this was really pretty to make some project bags. I just love the colors. Yeah, it's very summery and really nice. So that was one. And this one was another one. I'm going with all my coral colors here. Yeah, so that was another one that I'll make a project bag out of. And then I thought, I've been watching Emily, the Fiber Town podcast, and she's been making some beautiful tops. So I'm thinking I might try to make some tunic tops out of fabric that will be cool for the summer. And this is 100% cotton. I thought this might be very nice for a nice tunic. And it kind of is in my color choice. And yeah, so that was all good. So yeah, locally there's this really amazing sale on right now from this Len's Mills place. So I'm getting fabric for, gosh, so cheaply. It's like $1.50 a yard. I can't believe that they're selling it off that cheaply, but yeah. So, well, we're just at 30 minutes now, so I think I'm not sure that I have anything else to show you, but you might have noticed it's probably bigger than life and probably too big for the podcast, but I have a painting back here that I made probably, oh gosh, probably even 8 years ago, 10 years ago now, of a mother and baby. And in my profession, I'm in close contact with mothers and babies all the time. And this is one of the paintings that I made in celebration of something that we promote all the time, which is skin-to-skin contact between mothers and babies. And, you know, in the field that I'm in, I'm looking at this whole aspect of being skin-to-skin with mothers and babies more acutely than other people might. But a few interesting stories that I've heard lately about this whole process of being skin-to-skin with a mother is that it actually enhances a baby's brain in ways that can't be replicated any other way. So we talk about it all the time in the work that I do with moms, you know, trying to promote being skin-to-skin with the mom. I know in baby foals, little baby horses, I'd heard a story one time described by someone in the field. And when they have race horses, of course, that's a huge investment when they do foal. You want those babies to thrive and be trainable. And I'd heard a story one time that if those babies are removed from their mothers too soon and fed in alternate ways, that they can actually be incorrigible, cannot be trainable. So what they discovered is that they have to keep those babies together with the mother for them to be of any use later on when they're trying to be trained. And in the animal world, that can be duplicated lots of ways, but I don't think we fully appreciate what happens in the first few hours and days of a baby's life, and that they really do need to be skin on skin with the mother. So I thought I'd mention it just because many of you are making baby clothing and that sort of thing. And in particular, babies' hats. We always think that babies need hats when they're preemies and when they're newborns. And one fact that you might not know is that one of the triggers for a mother to emit a hormone called oxytocin, which is like the love hormone, which is helpful when she's recovering from childbirth for her uterus, but also helpful when she's trying to provide enough milk for her baby. That one of the triggers for this hormone to be released is actually the smell of her own baby's head. So it got me thinking about how we think that we need to provide hats for babies all the time. And I don't know that it's based in science, this need for baby hats, but I was kind of thinking that if people wanted to make things for new mothers, what would be great is almost like a tube top where she and her baby could be kind of wrapped up together and her baby could be on her chest. So just as a suggestion out there, if anybody's thinking of making something for a new mom, you might want to find some cotton, some stretchy cotton, and either sew it, or you could actually probably even knit cotton that could be like a halter top for a mom that she could keep around her and would keep her baby secure and on her chest. And that will really help her. If she's trying to breastfeed, that will really help her to do that. And yeah, it's all good. So anyway, that's a bit of a rant and a bit of a departure from knitting, I know, but I just thought I would mention it. So yeah, this is a picture of a baby and a mom. She happens to be in the bathtub because sometimes we do promote that for babies that are stressed from the birth. And I have heard that for babies trying to suckle but having problems, being in the bathtub might be a trigger for them to try to do it. So yeah, I've probably gone on too much about this, but anyways, I hope that you're having a really great summer. I hope to see you back. Please visit us in my Intuitknit podcast group on Ravelry. I can be found on Instagram as Intuitknit. And so if you want to follow me or have me follow you, make sure that I can see that you actually have an interest in yarn and knitting and fiber, because otherwise I won't be able to accept your request to be followed or following me. So I hope you have a really great day, and Please come back and visit me next time. Bye for now.